Picture it. You're sitting on the couch, minding your own beeswax. Maybe you're scrolling the tubes of you, the talks, or even reading this weird rectangular object with numerous pages filled with words that are bound together. I think it's called a book. And you see or read something about being careful what you think because evil forces can read your mind and take advantage of you this way. And as a Christian, you kind of freak out a little bit. You stop your scrolling and you put down your rectangular object and you're like, what? Is this true? And I'm here to tell you, let's slow down. Let's go pick up the other rectangular object on your desk, hopefully right next to you, that you're reading every day. And let's look in there. Is this true? Can Satan and demons have access to our thoughts? So I believe that this is really a question about omniscience, which is the ability to know everything. First, remember that the Bible teaches that Satan is a created being, a being who rebelled against God. Now, while he possesses significant power, he is not omniscient or omnipotent like God. He doesn't know everything, he's not all powerful, and he doesn't have access to knowledge in the same way that God does. This limitation on knowledge is vital when considering whether Satan can read minds. It's important to understand that he's not God's opposite or his equal. He does not possess the same attributes as God. God is very unique in this regard. Now, I believe that there's a spiritual element where we allow Satan to know more than he should, but this is not done by accident. Okay, this can be done through occultic practices, willingly allowing ourselves to be open to this stuff that God says to stay away from for a reason. But even then, Satan's knowledge is not comparable to God's. Even if we give him full right access, it's not the same thing. Now, all throughout Scripture, we see the pattern that only God knows all things, like reading people's hearts and minds, which, by the way, if only God can do, it's one reason why Jesus, being God in the flesh, is so hard to unsee when we see him doing things that only God can do. Now, as I mentioned a minute ago, though, it's important to note that while Satan cannot read our minds, he can observe our behavior and manipulate our thoughts based on external cues. It's not like Satan hasn't been studying humans for millennia. His cunning strategies and understanding of human nature allow him to tempt and deceive us. He exploits our weaknesses and desires, seeking to lead us astray from God's path. In a variety of biblical accounts, we see no evidence of Satan directly accessing human thoughts. For instance, when Satan tempted Jesus in the wilderness, right? He used external means, like quoting scripture and appealing to Jesus's hunger, rather than directly reading his mind. So no, Satan and the demons cannot read our minds, all right? But we must remain vigilant against his schemes, and the Bible advises us to guard our hearts and our minds, to resist the devil and to put on the armor of God, and to withstand his attacks. And guys, this is a good thing, that there's no basis for Satan reading our minds. Not only is this consistent with the metaphysical understanding of God's attributes, but it's also biblical. In other words, only your Creator, who made you exist and holds you in existence, is able to know all things, including your thoughts. Think of Satan as the ultimate spiritual groomer. He's able to woo you in the same way an evil person can, because he fixates on your weaknesses and exploits them for his purposes. Also, this is on another fun fact, totally different topic, but I think it's really interesting. But Satan and the demons also cannot take on human form like angels can. We never once see this in scripture, with one exception. And now, I haven't looked into this a great deal, and I'm no expert on the topic, but the only place I ever see that pattern disrupted is with the Nephilim. And the only person I've ever really known to do a lot of research on this is the great late Dr. Michael Heiser. So I would suggest checking out his channel, Fringe Pop 321, and also reading the variety of works that he has about this topic, because I would like to know more about that. But other than that, it is very unique. You do not see demons take on human form. Now, people that I know who have been unfortunate enough to see any visual of a demonic being describe them as just black, like the opposite of light. My bestie, who used to be in the New Age, had an experience with a demonic entity, and she described it as like a dark black mass of coal. It was like there was no light in it at all, but it wasn't human. Like, it didn't have a human form in the same way that angels would have. Another thing are ghostly apparitions. I find it very interesting that disembodied spirits being demons, I find it very interesting that that's how they can masquerade. But none of them look like this. None of them go up and walk and talk with you like Gabriel did, or like the two angels when they went to get Lot. Back in Genesis. There's multiple occurrences in scripture where angels appear as if they were actually a human. So I don't know why my brain went on that. I just thought it was really, really interesting in doing this research that I thought I would bring that up. Maybe I'll follow up on a longer video in the future, but I think that would be an interesting topic to research and look more into. Now, if there's anybody watching that might know a little bit about that topic, let us know what it is in the comments below. It would be interesting to kind of hear people's thoughts about that, the biblical view. If there's any research that you've done, please share it in the comments below. Okay, so back at the topic at hand, I just want to wrap up and say that I think Satan's inability to read minds is comforting. And I think that our focus should be on developing a closer relationship with God. We need to know that we are in a spiritual war, and the devil hates you. We draw close to God knowing that He's our protector and infinitely more powerful than Satan. So rather than fearing Satan's limited knowledge, we find security in God's watchful care over us. And in Romans, it's Romans 8, chapter 38 through 39, it reminds us that nothing, not even the schemes of the enemy, can separate us from God's love. So these are my thoughts on this topic. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think I missed something? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, please check out the description for more information. By the way, I know so many of you ask these questions because you're wanting to learn more and dig deeper. And I want to tell you about my seminary, Southern Evangelical Seminary, where I received my bachelor's in religious studies, and I am currently a student there getting my master's in Christian apologetics. I am greatly indebted to SES because they have a no-nonsense stance on biblical and objective truth, and they have really helped strengthen my Christian walk by holding me accountable scripturally and theologically. So if you want more information, go to ses.edu/Melissa. It will be in the description. They offer all kinds of degrees and certificates, so be sure to check them out.